Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the album Unleash the Beast by Saxon. This album review was actually recommended by YouTube user RJCJ Rock. So yeah, thanks for the recommendation. Anyway, so this album came out in 1997, and I believe was their second album of the 90s. If I remember correctly, either their first or second. I'm not too familiar with the 90s and stuff, and later on I'm more familiar with the 80s stuff. Anyway, but yeah, so this was released in 1997. So before I get into the songs, I'm gonna name off the band members really quick. Hold on. Here we go. Biff Byford on vocals, Doug Scarrett on lead guitar, Paul Quinn on lead guitar, Nibs Carter on bass, and Nigel Glocker on drums. Alright, so the album starts off with an extremely short instrumental called Gothic Dreams, and this is a really cool instrumental, although I wish it was a little bit longer. It's only 1 minute and 33 seconds, although, I don't know, it feels a little shorter, but overall it is pretty short, but it has a really cool atmosphere to it, and the title of the instrumental very well fits with the actual nature of it. It very much feels like a gothic dream. There's these church bells going off. There's this eerie sort of church choir going on in the background, and just an overall really cool epic nature to it. It's pretty much it feels like a very natural build up to the actual first song of the album, which is the title track, Unleash the Beast. Going on to that song, which is song 2. Basically, my thoughts on Gothic Dreams is it's really good. So I think it would have worked even better if it was attached to the actual first song. Like if it was Gothic Dreams / Unleash the Beast, kind of like Hellion / The Electric Eye. Even though it's good on its own, I think it would have worked even better if it was part of the actual, an intro to the actual song. Anyway, but yeah, Gothic Dreams, awesome song. Awesome instrumental. Anyway, on to the actual first song of the album, Unleash the Beast, which is the title track. This is a great way to start off the album in terms of actual songs. It has a very epic feel to it, almost a power metal feel at times, especially with the vocals. And then it has this really cool chorus that is very epic. Then it slows down just a little bit halfway through the chorus, but it builds back up again, and has a really cool, very epic guitar solo as well. And it's one of those title tracks that you hear it and you're like, yeah, the sound of the song very much 100% matches the actual artwork the title track was based on, or not based on, but goes with, I guess. It just fits hand in hand with the title track and the actual artwork in the song overall. Yeah, it's just an awesome song. Next up is Terminal Velocity, which is pretty much I guess sort of like either intentional or unintentional callback to their earlier stuff. It very much sounds like a classic 80s Saxon song to me. Maybe with a little bit more polished production and slightly different kind of vocals, but overall it definitely reminds me of those early 80s Saxon albums. Just a great song and a great, classic sounding Saxon song as well, with just that fast riff, very cool solo, and just those classic Saxon vocals by Biff Byford. Um, but yeah, just another great song. And then the fourth song is actually my favorite song on here, called "Circle of Light." This I think is either their first or second heaviest song on here. Um, it's a very cool, very sort of like moody, but also very sort of urgent sounding song. Now it's not super fast paced or anything. It's sort of a mid paced song, but just the way it's presented has a very urgent atmosphere to it. Um, from the lyrics alone, I'm guessing this song is like the story of the song is like there's this person in like this operating room, and they're basically on death's door, and basically it's the pressure of the surgeon to get this operation done very quickly so the guy doesn't die. And the point of view, I think, is actually coming from the actual person receiving the operation, and just hoping the surgeon doesn't slip up and accidentally kill him. Very interesting song, just a really cool, very heavy song, and one of their heaviest of their career. It's just a very cool song. I love how they incorporated the sort of the '90s metal, '90s style heavy metal sort of vibe to it, but didn't stray so far from the realm of their the overall Saxon sound to the point where it completely sounded different. It does have that sort of like mix of that signature Saxon sound, but also sort of like revamped for the '90s kind of era, which is awesome. Which is really cool that they're able to do that very, very well. Also, I love the riff. It's just a very simplistic, kind of muted riff, but it's just super catchy and just awesome. And then the solos as well, just great. The next one is called "The Thin Red Line." This one's okay. I don't mind it. It's just one of those songs that's just kind of there, but not great, but also not terrible. Just meh. The next song is "Ministry of Fools," which this one's pretty cool. It sort of has, I don't know, it's weird. It has sort of a lighthearted feel in terms of the actual like riffing and stuff. It has sort of this is probably the most it has a very cool melody to it. Now the riff, there's a riff that pops up, sort of like a riff that pops up very quickly with a very couple notes before the actual main chorus. It pops up here and there, which kind of sounds really similar to another sort of like riff bit in another song, which it was on the Black Sabbath album Forbidden. I believe it was Rusty Angels was that song, but it's a very similar sort of bit of riff. Now I know it wasn't intentional, but it sort of just reminds me of that, which I also love that song as well, and I love that album. So this song, kind of in a way reminds me of that other song, which I also really like. But yeah, overall, just a really cool song, kind of a different song than most songs on this album. It's just a very sort of like probably the most melodic in terms of just riffing, I guess. Most of the riffs on this album are very simplistic but done well. This one has a little bit more sort of like melody to it. I just love it. And then the solos as well, and just the overall vocals are also really good. Next up is a song called "The Preacher." This, just like "The Thin Red Line," is just an okay song. Not really much to say about this one. Bloodletter is kind of the same, just okay. "Cut Out the Disease" is another great song. It's probably the heaviest song along with "The Thin Red Line." It sort of has the same sort of vibe. In a way, it's very moody, very not atmospheric, but it has an interesting sort of vibe to it. Like you could tell this was another one that they were trying to adapt to the '90s metal sound, but then again they do it very, very well. They adapt it, they tweak it just a bit, but they still keep that core Saxon sort of sound, signature sound as well. Yeah, just another amazing song. The second to last song is called Absent Friends. This one is just kind of another one that's just kind of meh. And then All Hell Breaking Loose is also just kind of okay. Now there are two bonus tracks, which are two live versions of title tracks of two of their other albums, Crusader and Solid Ball of Rock. And honestly, I don't really like the bonus tracks all that much. I've never really liked the album Crusader or Solid Ball of Rock. I think those albums are just forgettable, really. So I'm not really interested in these live versions of these two title tracks. Yeah, so that the title tracks technically end, these live versions of the title tracks technically end the album, but they're bonus tracks. Anyway, so before my final thoughts and my verdict, I'm gonna show off the artwork really quickly. Anyway, so the artwork is actually pretty cool. It's kind of what really sort of really like I saw this artwork way before I even sort of listened to Saxon or started listening to Saxon, and even with this artwork, it drew me in. But this isn't the album I started listening to first. It was one of their '80s albums. But this is what kind of like just sort of interested me at first, and I eventually got around to this album a while ago, like a couple of months ago actually. And I just recently was able to actually get it. Yeah, the artwork is really cool. Probably their best artwork they've ever had on any of their albums. Just very cool, very sort of like, it kind of is like the gargoyles and like those like churches, those old medieval churches with those gargoyles on the roof. It's really cool looking, very sinister, very evil sort of looking creature as well. And then you get the Saxon logo, of course, and then the back. Also, when I got this thing in the mail, I opened it up and there's this huge crack on the back of the case. I'm gonna have to actually replace this case. I do have extra CD cases lying about, so I'm gonna replace it soon. Yeah, the artwork is awesome and I love how it sort of continues on the back. Um, Overall, this album has some really good songs, but also some really sort of forgettable songs. Now I do prefer their earlier stuff, like their first couple of albums, like the first 5 or 6 albums. But this one is a pretty good kind of mixed bag type of album. Um, and it does have some really awesome songs. Like I said, Gothic Dreams is a great instrumental. Unleash the Beast is great. Terminal Velocity, Circle of Light, um, Ministry of Fools, and Cut Out the Disease. Um, it's just a sort of like a mixed bag, but like I said, one of the better mixed bag albums. But even with that, there are quite a few songs on here that are just kind of forgettable. I originally had kind of sort of like I didn't know really what to rate this album, even when listening to it. Um, I had conflicting ideas of what the rating should be, but I finally just decided to. I just decided, you know what? I'm just gonna give this a 7 out of 10. Like I said, there's some really good stuff on here, but and then there's some not. It's sort of like a middle of the road album in terms of Saxon stuff. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. It has its moments, and I do enjoy those good moments on here. All right, so that's about it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.